Greetings Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance and welcome back to another guide. Today we talk about one of the heroes that completely changed the idea of what a tank can be in hero wars. Because when we think about tanks, most of us immediately imagine armor, magic defense, massive resistance and heroes that simply stand there absorbing punishment. But Julius does things differently. He doesn't protect by becoming impossible to kill. He protects by making everyone else impossible to reach. Welcome to the world of the Lord of Shields. Guardians, Julius is one of the most unique tanks in hero wars because his entire identity is built around prevention rather than endurance. Traditional tanks survive damage. Julius often prevents damage from existing in the first place. His defensive style isn't centered around gigantic armor values or overwhelming magic defense. Instead, part of those traditional defensive stats are replaced by one mechanic: shields. And once you understand how those shields work, suddenly Julius starts making a lot more sense. The first thing that stands out is their durability. They're not absurdly large, but they're not weak either. And that balance is important. Because Julius shields create a very annoying situation for enemies that rely on medium pressure or inconsistent damage. Heroes that deal low damage. Heroes that hit in bursts. Heroes that need time between attacks. Those heroes struggle. Because Julius doesn't create one shield. He creates multiple layers of protection and he creates them quickly. His largest shield is one of the most impressive defensive abilities in the game because it protects the entire team against all forms of damage while simultaneously healing everyone. And Guardians. That changes things immediately. Because suddenly teams don't always need to dedicate one slot to a healer. Now imagine progress heroes inside that environment. They receive even more of that synthetic healing and suddenly their biggest weakness starts disappearing. They become safer, more stable, harder to remove. But the really beautiful part of Julius doesn't stop at his main shield. Because Julius creates another smaller shield and this one completely changes tempo. First the shield appears on Julius himself. Then the enemy has 5 seconds. Break it? Or the same shield spreads to everyone. And Guardians. This is where things become dangerous. Because those shields carry much more than protection. Once destroyed, they activate powerful effects. First, temporary boosts to armor and magic defense. Even if the duration is short, this works incredibly well against burst damage because the largest portion of incoming pressure suddenly collides against increased defenses. Big hits become smaller. Explosive openings disappear. Second, removal of debuffs and marks. And this mechanic is massively underestimated. Because so many heroes rely on preparation, marks, negative effects, conditions. Julius simply says no. No marks, no setup, no damage. Entire strategies become weaker. And finally, speed. One of the strongest hidden mechanics in his kit. Basic attacks become faster. Skills become faster. And progress allies receive even more acceleration. That sounds simple. Until you realize what it actually means. Tempo changes. Enemy combinations stop aligning. Heroes that normally chain abilities together suddenly lose synchronization. And once timing breaks, teams start collapsing. This is one of the reasons progress compositions feel so smooth with Julius. Everything starts moving faster. Everything starts happening earlier. And then there's one mechanic that many players forget. Whenever Julius gains a shield, his physical attack permanently increases. Now Guardians. The increase itself isn't changing. But the fact it stacks permanently matters. Because longer battles become more dangerous. His skills become stronger. His pressure becomes stronger. His value increases. And suddenly the tank that was protecting everyone slowly becomes more threatening himself. That's why Julius feels incredible in sustained battles. And because his style is so flexible. He fits into multiple structures. But some combinations stand above the others. The classic. Judge. Julius. Isaac. JJI. Guardians. This composition became iconic for a reason. Shields. Technology. Protection. Burst reduction. Pressure. Everything works together. Judge creates more shields. Isaac supports and stabilizes. Julius becomes the center of a defensive machine that slowly takes over the battlefield. But another direction also deserves attention. Aiden. Hoos. This team approaches Julius differently. Instead of adding more shielding, it amplifies sustain. Healing becomes stronger. Structure becomes stronger. Damage over time loses impact. And Julius starts becoming unbelievably difficult to push through. That combination feels like trying to break a wall that repairs itself. And Guardians. While all this defensive value is happening, Julius quietly helps physical teams become more dangerous. Because his mechanics create opportunities for critical hits to happen more consistently. Protection becomes offense. Safety becomes pressure. And that's why Julius remains one of the most interesting tanks in Hero Wars. He doesn't protect by resisting. He protects by changing the battle itself. So Guardians. Do you still use Julius? Is JJ still your favorite progress core? Or did another composition steal your attention? Leave your thoughts below and tell us which hero should be next. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.